Hello, BookTube. It's Eric. Back with another haul video. I went to my local thrift stores in the last couple of days and found a bunch of stuff. And we're back here in the fabulous media closet, which has very little in the way of books, but a lot of DVDs and compact discs. Speaking of which, let me just show these real quick for anybody that watches both my book and my music videos. Picked up Laika and the Cosmonauts, which is kind of cool surfy stuff from the 90s. I have one or two of their albums, but I enjoy them. And then I actually picked up a cassette of this I forgot to show in my last music update, but I found this Tractor CD. I've always heard good things about this band. Found this pretty cheap, so I figured I'd check it out. All right, on to the books. Starting with our Recycle Reuse Center, where they have 25-cent fiction paperbacks, or you can fill a bag for $2. And I filled a bag because I hit the point when I was like, I just fill a bag. There was a bunch of cool stuff. So, America's #1 selling, currently publishing Western writer. He's been dead since 2004. I read a whole bunch of William W. Johnstone back in my high school and college days. And this is an old school zebra. You can see the zebra there. Edition of one of his early ones was actually written by Johnstone. This is Journey of the Mountain Man. And paperback original, one of the new ones published with a line of writers who are either basing their books on his notes or story ideas or whatever. This one's Pinnacle. You can see that. So I grabbed that. G8 Battle Ace and his Battle Aces. I've never read any of these. I've got one of them that I've been meaning to get to forever, but I saw this. So this is going to be one of those so it went in the bag videos. So it went in the bag. It's not in horrible condition. I mean, it's starting to fall apart, but for, what I paid, that's fine. Long Arm, once again, I've only read a couple of these, really the early ones. This is a later one. This is number 314, but it went in the bag. Tim Powers is an author I know of. I had a copy or have a copy of Anubis Gates. It was given to me years and years ago that I did not read. But this, you got horses pulling a Corvette, Ferrari, something like that. Generation after the bomb wiped out Los Angeles. Let me start over with that. Generation after the bombs wiped out Los Angeles, along with most of the rest of the world. Survivors have trickled back to set up life in the ruins. Times are hard. People take whatever solace they can from each other, from new drugs, from perversions only whispered about an infamous private club called Deviant's Palace. Some turn into mysterious religious cult, some turn to the mysterious religious cult formed by Norton J. Bush. And once they are taken into that group, no one is ever seen again. So yeah, science fiction, but that's got some like horror overtones. So picked up that. Recently watched season 4 of Bosch on Amazon, which is one of the great television shows of our time. And I haven't really read a lot of these Bosch books. I read Poet years and years ago, but I figured I'd grab that. Some Louis L'Amour. These are some nice looking copies of some of his books. I don't think I ever read this one, but I definitely read Sackett. So Louis L'Amour is always worth a look. Joyce Carol Oates, Garden of Earthly Delights. This is an old Fawcett crest. Author whose name I keep stumbling across, but I've never read. So grab that one. What else we got here? 3 Joseph Wambaugh novels. Black Marble, The Onion Field, New Centurions. I think all 3 of these have been made into movies. In fact, this is a film tie-in version. I actually kind of enjoyed the film. I need to see it again. The great writer of L.A. police novels. He himself was a former L.A. police officer. These are classics. This one, Onion Fields, kind of seen better days, this book. But I grab these when I see them and there's a bag to be filled. Just based on the title of this one, it's kind of falling apart. It's an Avon book, Hillbilly Women. So yeah, talks to mountain women about their joys, struggles in southern Appalachia. This is from 1973, 72. Kind of interesting looking. The Smuggled Atom Bomb. This looks like pure pulp. It's a Lancer book. This is probably from the 60s. So yeah, this looks like 140 pages of tight action adventure. So um, Taking of Terry Muller. This probably I'm gonna say 80s, but probably the 90s. This is 81, and this looks like some teen exploitation stuff. Some of that scare panic stuff from when I was a kid. I got to be honest, I threw this one in the bag solely on the cover because I dig those 80s covers with the green grid lines like they're in some kind of lame computer program. So the meltdown at 3 Mile Island created the death zone known as the Drift, where the sky burned dark blue and pink and where bone seekers destroyed bodies within. Two-headed monster, dog-faced boys, mutated vampires, and other undesirables were thrown into the rift, and now they're coming out. Hey, there's a quote by some author you may have heard of. So yeah, this could be interesting. It's a little warped, but that's okay. All right, Fletch. Fletch is Moxie. Fletch and the Widow Bradley. Son of Fletch. Fletch and the Man Who. Fletch 2. Confess Fletch. No, I read a couple Fletch books back in the day. Of course, found them through the movies. They're kind of smart-ass counterculture crime novels. Some of these paperbacks have seen better days, but you know what? That's fine with me. And yeah, I'm going to see which of these I need in my collection. All right. We're almost done with today's haul. So, some David Morrell horror. I might have a copy of this, I might not, but he was famous for writing First Blood, and I've got a bunch of his stuff, and it's always been good what I've read, so I want to check that out. And Michael McDowell with Tabitha King. Yes, Stephen King's wife, Michael McDowell, who wrote the Blackwater series, among other things, and who was probably most famous for writing the screenplay or coming up with the story idea for both Beetlejuice and The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I already had a copy of this, but they had it there, so I threw it in the bag. So, stuff I found at my other thrift shops earlier this week. Copy of Hard Case Crimes Sinner Man by Larry Block. I didn't know if I had this Clive Cussler or not, so I grabbed it. Arthur Haley Detective. Sure, why not? Somebody's business cards in here. A Scholastic or Troll version of Frankenstein. A Mediatine edition of Pillars of the Earth. One of my friends said this was really good. It's like 1,000 pages, but I got it really cheaply, so maybe I'll use this as a doorstop or I will read it. We will see. Somehow I've collected a whole bunch of this guy's books. Fred Saberhagen, Dracula Nonsense, sure. Cory Doctorow. Yeah, I haven't read much of his stuff, but it's a name I know, so I grabbed that. And then I used to like a lot of these. America's Non-Required Reading, and then there was the best crime writing, or the best mystery and crime, and the best music writing. And so I tend to pick these up. These are pretty good. They usually have pretty good selection of authors. So that is the haul. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time.